Hello friends, welcome back to Moon Magic Spirit. My name is Meg and today I am unboxing the classic OG Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Alright, so this is my very first deck that I ever opened and played around with. So even though I already opened it, I still thought it would be fun just to give it an overview if anyone was interested. If you're a beginner in tarot, this is definitely a video for you to watch and check out. My dog is over here. Luna! Hello, can you say hi? You guys can barely see her peeking out. She just came over and bought me with her nose. So yeah, today I'm going to do an unboxing overview of this deck. I have had it for quite some time. This very specific deck that I have, this deck that I have that comes in the yellow box just like this, the cards are so stiff. So even though I had the cards for such a long time, I feel like I'm finally breaking them in. So I guess that's my first review and like slight critique about it, is that it's kind of hard to mix the cards up because the deck is so stiff. It's like really hard to get them to just like want to join together, you know? So even doing the typical card shuffle like that, it took quite a long time for them to even want to bend to come together. So it's a little bit difficult in the sense that it's just so stiff when you first open this deck. But at the same time, that also means that the cards are going to last a really long time because they are so stiff. They're not going to fray apart after a couple of months of use. So that is my first critique. So let's go ahead and move over to the overhead spread and we can get through everything that comes with this tarot pack. You always want to lay down your favorite piece of cloth. It doesn't have to be something specifically made for tarot. It's just something that you're drawn to. For me, this was just an inexpensive way to have a cloth that I loved, and I just went to Joann Fabrics, picked out a design that I like. This is an astrology zodiac design. As you can see, it has animal hair on it, so I do have a husky and a cat, and if you're a pet owner, you know even if you clean stuff, there's still animal hair no matter what. So don't mind the animal hairs when you see it, but it's important to have a cloth down between surfaces because it's creating a barrier between the deck's astral properties and the physical world. And your deck is just this precious little entity that bridges the two dimensions. So you want to treat your deck with the utmost respect. So just having a nice little cloth for them to rest on. I also wrap my deck in this just to keep it safe and to protect it. Again, they do make pouches specifically for tarot decks, but this is just what works for me. I don't really travel with my tarot. I know there are people that like to take their tarot with them everywhere that they go, which is really cool. It's a good way to bond with your cards. I just haven't traveled with mine yet, so this is just what I have for now. Speaking of animals, she is always so interested and by my side whenever I am doing tarot. So as you can see, keeping it hair free is quite the impossible task when you have a little helper for a husky. And I also have some crystals that I keep with my deck at all time, clear quartz, just to help keep the deck clean and clear. And then I also love having this tumbled heart-shaped rose quartz in there just because I rotate the crystals every now and then, but I feel like the deck has really been loving this self-love crystal with it. So I feel like the clear quartz and the rose quartz have really been charging my deck. I've been enjoying pairing these stones with it. So I will get into this a little bit more if I don't get too sidetracked. My ADHD sometimes has me forgetting points that I want to make, but I have been shuffling out different handheld crystals with my deck. These are just the two of the moment. So here is what our deck box looks like. As we can see, it just says that it includes the Pamela Coleman Smith's original hand-drawn tiles. And this is a Rider Tarot deck conceived by Arthur Edward Wade. And it's illustrated by Pamela Smith, and I hate that it's a game system that put this out, because tarot is not a game. But it was originally intended as playing cards, so I can see that. So what I love about this deck so much is that these illustrations on this deck were created in 1909, so there's so much history behind the illustrations to this deck, and tarot itself dates back to the 1400s through pictorial cards, and they were originally used for games rather than prediction. Cartomancy, or fortune telling through the use of playing cards, wasn't even developed until 1785 when a French occultist created a comprehensive link between illustrated cards, astrology, and ancient Egyptian lore. In the late 1890s, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn formed in London, playing an instrumental role in reviving modern magic. Two of the group's founders, McGregor and Moyna Maters, wrote Book T, aka the manual that detailed tarot's symbolic power. In 1909, Arthur Edward Wade and Pamela Coleman Smith created a tarot deck loosely based on the teachings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Known as the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is still the most popular tarot variant of today. So when you're looking at picking out a deck, some things to keep in mind is to explore the imagery. Are you enchanted by more classical interpretations or more modern interpretations? I have another deck that's more modern that I'm going to unbox soon. It's the Antique Anatomy Tarot deck. And there's no hierarchy of tarot decks, so no deck is better than the other. So just pick a deck that really speaks to you. I know some people like to knock on people for going with the classic deck. I mean, there's haters everywhere. But for me, I was just really drawn in by the history. I mean, from 1909 is when these images were created. I was really fascinated by that and really wanted to learn the original artwork that came with this deck. So inside we have another little box that says 22 major arcana and 56 lesser arcana. So that's in reference to the 78 cards that are in here. You have 22 major arcana cards, and this basically refers to, I'm so sorry you guys couldn't even see that. This refers to the 22 major cards that represent the journey as a whole, based around telling a story from start to finish. And it said that the major arcana cards are the major life cards that take a longer time to play out, while the 56 minor arcana cards take less time to play out. Those are things that come to fruition a lot quicker and faster. And this also comes with an instruction booklet that was originally written by Arthur Edward Wade. This is our little deck holder. My cards do not like being in this. They are very unhappy that I put them back into this deck holder. So let's get them out. Here we have this little booklet. It's honestly a pain in the ass. Hello, can we focus? Because it's so small, it was just so annoying to read. I mean, there's a lot of detail that goes into this, but again, this was written and published in 1909, so you know, we kind of got to get with the times a little bit. So you can get the basic principle and idea behind the cards going through this, and it really explains a lot. However, things have evolved so much with tarot. There's more modern meaning behind some of the cards, and some of the description of these, it doesn't hold up with time with how some of the stuff was written. So this is a good thing to look through, but I would definitely look up more modern definitions of the cards. I will have some resources linked down below if you are new. So this is a blue plaid that we have on the back of these cards. I had no idea this is what the back looked like when picking out the deck because it didn't indicate otherwise anywhere else. I also love building a story between the cards, so let's find some court cards. The kings are what popped out first, so you can build a story with it. So if we look at the King of Wands, he is like very like arrogant, like I don't want to talk to you, very stubborn energy. The King of Cups is very emotional, so he's like, well, screw you, I don't want to look at you either. And the King of Swords is like not emotional at all, so he's like, I don't care what you guys are doing. And then we have the King of Pentacles, who's just off in his own little world, because even though they're all kings, the King of Pentacles is like the King of Kings. Even though it's a humble card, he's still kind of like, I don't care what any of you are doing. So that's another reason why I was really drawn to this deck. It's just the storytelling ability and just seeing how the cards lay out in a spread, how they're interacting with each other, and I just love being able to put that together. And then in case you're wondering what these cards are, they're basically like ads. It's basically an ad for a book about her life, and then a limited edition, a limited collector's edition. So those are in there. But more reasons why I really like this deck is that I just love the imagery of some of the cards. Like this 7 of Cups, this is such a cool card to me. I love the artwork on it. And then also with the Star card, it is just such a beautiful card to look at. And it's just something that you could stare at for a couple of minutes and just really take in. I also really like how all the ace cards for the suit cards for the minor arcana, I love how all of them look. We have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and then for some reason, I'm really drawn to the Ace of Wands. I love how it's just like a hand coming out of thin air, like handing you something. Like, here you go, take it, and this will be the start of something magical and beautiful and creative for you. And then I also really like the Ace of Pentacles as well, because it's just like, prosper with this and take this, and you will be successful and abundant on your journey. So I more so love these two ace cards out of the 4 of them. I have to say those are my favorites. And what I also like about this deck is that some of the cards are very literal, okay? So like this person, it's just like, it doesn't take a lot to figure out what this card could represent. And then there's also cards like this card, like there's like the scary cards that people are afraid of. So let's debunk that really fast. Like even with the 10 of Swords, it looks like someone's been stabbed so many times, but I don't see this as a negative card because it's like, yes, you're like very severely injured, but you can't get hurt any more than you already are. Like, yes, you're at rock bottom, but the good news is you can only go up from here. I am somebody that is always trying to see the positive side of things, and that's exactly how I read tarot and how I love to read tarot. So I see this as, yes, you're at rock bottom and things are hard right now, but they're only going to get better. And here is the Death card. So here the imagery is something that really helps connect you to the card because you're looking around. You see dead bodies, you see people begging for mercy from death, and death is like, nope, there will be no survivors on this day at all. Not even this powerful religious figure can get death to stop in its tracks. So, you know, death is like everything is rotted and dying in its path, and nothing lives past where it walks. However, if we look off into the very, very distance, we see the sun beaming up in between the 2 towers. This is a little glimmer of hope. So it's kind of similar to the 10 of Swords in the fact of like, yes, like you're pretty low right now, you know, but you're going to be reborn. There's going to be a rebirth of something, whatever it's relevant to in your life happening. So that's why I really like this original artwork. And then this is another one where it's like an obviously happy card. So I just really like looking at the cards and examining some of them. Now again, with Judgment, speaking of examining, these are corpses in the ocean that have come out of their caskets, and all is revealed for judgment. So I just, you know, it's just so wild to be like, oh yeah, this is a bunch of corpses waiting to be judged to see what happens to them in the afterlife. Like, the imagery is just so cool. And then even with the devil, which is like, people are like, oh no, not the devil card. It's like about leaning into temptation. So even though they have their chains wrapped around their neck, you can see that the chains aren't wrapped too tightly. They're pretty loose. So this means that while they're down here in temptation or whatever devilish things they may be dabbling in, no one's forcing them as prisoner. The chains are pretty loose around their necks, so they can take them off anytime they want and leave. So it's just little details like that that I like to pay attention to. And lastly, I just want to go over the artwork on the tower because I'm really fascinated by it. Probably because there's so much going on. I've drawn this card quite a bit. But again, I don't necessarily see it as a bad card. It's just something that needs to happen that's necessary in life. So yeah, I don't know. It's the lightning bolt and the crown falling off for me. But yeah, I just really like the imagery and artwork that's part of like the original OG deck. I like learning from it. So that's why I was drawn to it and why I was drawn to learn by it. And I feel like it's helped me so much. And I just really love the storytelling that's involved with this deck. So let me know, is this a deck that you have? Is it a deck you would want to learn from? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are regarding this. I would love to hear from you. So anytime I'm done with the reading, I just stack my cards back up. I thank them for their messages. I tell them that I appreciate it. And if there's anything else that relates to the cards that I pulled that I want to say. And then this is where I stack my crystals on top of it to recharge. They already know that it's to help cleanse the deck. To me, the rose quartz is pouring love and gratitude into the deck, while the clear quartz is clearing the deck of the energy and just keeping it nice and fresh for the next time I want to pull. So I just wrap her up, tuck her in for the night. And this is how I store my deck. On my end table over here, I hadn't even realized I did this until a couple of weeks ago, but I have a spirit guide book where I have bookmarked all the spirit guides that my Reiki healer has told me about, that I know of, that we both know of. So I just have this sitting on my end table because I was reviewing it for something, and then I never put it back, and just instinctually I was putting my tarot cards on top of this book. So I also like to think that my guides are also connecting to the cards, and that's an outlet for them to get messages to me, and I just feel like they're better influencing the cards. I feel like there's some power behind the book. I also have this tarot book that I also have been stacking on here, so it can be at home with the tarot and also the spirit guides. So also let me know in the comments, what do you house your deck in? Is there a special place where you like to charge them? Do you like to use any other tools to help them out? Let me know how you store your deck. That is my little to-do on my very first tarot deck. This was a lot longer of a video than I ever anticipated. It's just my first deck, and I just had a lot to say about it. We've been through a lot together, so I'm sure my future tarot deck reviews will be a lot more concise than this one was. But I appreciate you guys sticking it out if you made it this far. That wraps it up for the unboxing of the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have a tarot deck, please leave me in the comments down below, what was your very first deck that you played with? I would love to know. And also, if you have a favorite deck, let me know in the comments. I am always mesmerized by the beauty of all the different decks and artwork that is out there. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't yet already. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.